Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play Darksiders. We're back at the Scalding Gallows to return the Stygian's heart to Samael, and then we'll be right off to the next dungeon, which also happens to be one of my favorites after the sort of bland mush that was the Ashlands.
One more. Just one more. And then more. You get your tower. Silitha's web-infested lair is far across the great chasm in the Ashlands. Ruin has yet to regain much of his strength, but he will make the distance. As for Silitha, just get there, and she'll find you. The Broodmother is a collector of sorts. Most enter her realm. She feeds to her young, the one she takes an interest in. Those are the unlucky ones. Those she keeps alive, and they can live a long time. Long enough to tell her things. You could say she collects stories, information.
What stories will she tell me about you, Samael?
Careful, or your ending will be a tragic one. Sometimes the hero dies in the end. But horsemen, I like stories that have a happy ending. Now bring me the final heart.
Samael doesn't even care enough to try to veil his threats. Not at this point, not this late in the game. That is a line that, if you've played Darksiders 2, you'll know that he repeats to death. Which I guess might be a minor spoiler. Samael survives into the sequel? Yeah, not really a spoiler. So I told you we're not quite done with the Ashlands yet. Let's see, let's buy something from Vulgrim. I have enough money, I think, to buy Affliction, which is, pretty powerful. It doesn't quite have the same utility that Blade Geyser has, but we have so much Wrath stocked up at this point that we could just go for raw damage, and, yeah, I have enough left for the Tremor Punch. Let's get that, too. Now, like I said, we're back going to the Ashlands. Early on in the dungeon... Oops, I'm trying to equip Affliction. Early on in the dungeon, there was a big chasm that I said we'd be returning to cross. That's actually a soul bridge that we need our horse Ruin to cross. So that's why we're heading back to the Ashlands. It connects to the 4th dungeon. Speaking of horses, if you've played Darksiders 2, you probably remember that Death's horse, Despair, is available right from the beginning of that game. And that is because Vigil got so much negative feedback from players who feel like they got burned by having to wait so long to get access to Ruin in this game that they just made him available right off the bat in Darksiders 2. There are a lot of little improvements that actually wind up making a huge difference like that in Darksiders 2. That, and I feel like the color palette, the music, and certain elements of the combat engine and the speed of the platforming, all, like, I guess aside from the combat engine, all fairly minor sounding things, but they wind up making a huge, huge difference. Oh, Ruin, why do you suck? You can't get up here. I have to be a little bit careful because Ruin is an unwieldy horse. Oh, like this. And there's a little jump coming up that he will just fling himself off of and break all his poor horsey legs. Right here, woo. Yeah, don't let Ruin try to make that jump. He'll just fall off and waste a bunch of your time. So we're coming up to that bridge I was talking about. We got the Soul Bridge ability after our Samael cutscene. Wow, that's a nothing cutscene. That hangs on that way too long. And we're once again learning about soul bridges for some reason. So we charge across when you see that. There are like 1 or 2 of these in the entire game. So it's not an ability that you're going to need to become intimately familiar with, but it's there. And it's what lets us cross from the Ashlands into this giant valley which leads out to the 4th dungeon, the Iron Canopy, and you already see the color palette starting to shift. This looks more like ash than anything we encountered in the desert, in the Ashlands. And we're getting a glimpse of the theme of the dungeon. This valley is covered in spider webs. That's really cool. War gets ambushed and captured and transported to the dungeon by the little broodlings. And you get to see so much right off the bat. Like, you see the boss door off in the distance, you see what is such a clear hookshot point, and you get to see a really nice vista of the town here. Visually, I like this dungeon a lot, because it's just so different from anything else you find in the game. So the bridge we're about to cross, this is cool. It's a webbed up school bus. Maybe just a regular bus, I don't know. It's got a nice soundtrack going. It's very brooding, it's very atmospheric here. Because this is just a town that's been overrun with spiders and cobwebs. It's been abandoned for so long that it's just completely encased in spider webs. Webs that are so thick that light barely gets through here. So it's got this very dark, moody palette. In this town, my guess is that it was a college town or like a medical campus or something. Because you see a lot of buses and clock towers, and more importantly, there's a lot of medical equipment around here. Like, if you look around, there are a lot of wheelchairs and gurneys and stuff. This is a strong dungeon. Like, already. We're gonna use the Chronomancer more here than we used in the previous dungeon. And we're gonna use it in combination with a lot more of our other dungeon items. Yeah, this is a really strong dungeon. Definitely one of the most well-rounded. So we know that we can get across using the demonic growth, but if you took a good look earlier, you would notice that we need a key before we can do anything over on the right side behind us. So we're proceeding forward down this alleyway to fight a few Forsaken Angels. Another nice thing about the Iron Canopy, such a radical name, it's succinct. It's not too short, but it's not nearly the long slog that the Ashlands were. It forces you to use a lot more of your tools in cool ways. I like a lot of the puzzles here. You get the best dungeon item here, which, not even a spoiler, it's the hookshot. And it's really atmospheric. And the Iron Canopy is a really rad name, so yeah, easily the best dungeon so far. Try to build up a little bit of XP on the gauntlet. Oh yeah, and you saw you can smash those egg sacs for a pretty decent amount of souls, actually. This is also a really good dungeon if you're trying to grind weapon experience out, because there's a lot of very weak, infinitely respawning spider enemies that you can grind on. So we want to pop each one of those large egg sacs. I think the only one I needed to was the one that was keeping that, the pendulum down. Pendulum seesaw. There we go. Trying to just mishmash a whole bunch of words in my head at once. We'll grab those souls. What the switch that we just flipped did was it raised up a chronosphere that we'll be using momentarily. Let's just kind of take some of these annoying bugs out. Oh, I didn't realize they have a little bit of immunity while they're belly up on their backs. Okay, so we can ignore the rest of them. They'll kind of follow us around and pester us if we waste too much time. So we climb up here, and that's so that we can get on top of the seesaw. So our weight is going to cause it to raise up. And if we run across right now before hitting the chronosphere, it would just balance out and we wouldn't be able to use it as a ramp to get up here. But since time is slowed down, we can actually cross it, get up to the key that we need. And here on the second floor, there's also the dungeon map already. Get it nice and early here. And, let's see. I think I need to be back on the second floor, except on this side to get to the door out. So I think it takes about 2 charged up Tremor Gauntlets hits from it to kill the baby spiders. Oh, no. Once we get outside, we'll take a look at the map and get a feel for like how big the dungeon is. Oh, Wrath. Actually need a little bit of that. I think I used, what, 1 Blade Geyser in the previous fight? Yeah. Alright, now back around here. Now that we have the key, we can climb the growth around the corner, and that will let us get to the next area. I don't know why you have to go through a beholder door and a cobweb, but oh well. This is really cool, because the floor is slightly opaque, so you could see the underside of the spider crawling on the ceiling below you. And there's another Gormaw up here. We've done this trick a bunch of times now. Always climb on top of it and ride it up when the Gormaw grabs the little stone piece. That'll usually lead you somewhere. Alright, now the trick to this puzzle is getting him right below the wet spot on the floor, and then attacking the Gormaw so he drops the big stone slab on the floor and drops him off of the ceiling below. And by doing that, he won't be here to knock you off of the railing, and you can parkour your way across unimpeded. So that's a nifty little puzzle. Let's see. Pretty sure we don't need to go back there for any items later on. I don't remember when you get the compass, but I do remember the item locations in this dungeon pretty well. Yeah, new enemy type with a really cool greenish teal color palette. This actually reminds me of a really prevalent color palette in Darksiders 2. Seems to use this palette a lot more often, that game. They're introduced like they're new enemy types, but they don't behave all that differently from enemies we've been fighting so far. So they just throw them at you in greater numbers here. Like, they just spawn in wave after wave. So this is where we'll kind of take advantage of our new Wrath spell Affliction and just watch that go to town. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a weak damage over time that you cast on one enemy. No, it's very strong damage over time that surrounds you like kind of like an orbital in a shmup, and it will just attack and attach itself to the nearest thing towards you and rip it apart. Affliction's quite powerful. It does consume 2 bars of Wrath at a time, though. And since we just picked up a Legion artifact, there's a little lore tidbit that goes along with them that's fleshed out more in Darksiders 2. Those artifacts of the Fallen Legion that we've been collecting, they once belonged to an army, and it was likely that they belonged to, specifically, Samael's army. You learn that a little bit deeper into Darksiders 2, because you actually go, there's a little bit of a time travel item, I believe, and you go into the past, and you're fighting Samael's army, and they keep referring to themselves as like Legion champions and Legion soldiers, which correspond to the artifact names. So we're going to be using a couple different elevators to get this bomb plant way up to the top of this room. Oh no! Let the spider grab me. This is a real annoying room for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of block pushing. There are a lot of spiders. There are explosives and just annoying shit on the wall. Demonic growth over there that you see we have to climb in a minute. But we want to Thunder Punch, whatever it's called. Shockwave Punch? Is that it? That's a bomb. Oh no, I thought I was outside its range. Oh well, get out of my way. Okay, it's on the next lift. We punch that across the gap. Motherfucker. Oh, I don't like this room. It's real annoying. I'm shaking my head. Just shaking my head. There are more bombs up here. One of these is gonna hit me. But we're all... Wow, two. Great. I guess you could go through that a little bit more slowly than I did and probably won't have quite as many problems. Just fuck that. Fuck that climb. Oh no, can I do it in time? No, not quite. There's a little bit of a dead angle there. Just everything that could go wrong in this room has gone wrong. That's fine though. It's a pretty small room in the grand scheme of things. Now, oh yeah, here's where you get to see a lot of medical gurneys and hospital beds and wheelchairs and stuff in this room. This is also a real big combat room. So I want to... Yeah, I'm a little lower on Wrath than I would like. I'm going to save those last 2 bars for the wave after this guy. I'm just going to try to go to town on him. The teal enemies, they're not too dangerous, but they just throw a lot at you at once. So now is a good time to pop that affliction. So we'll catch the tail end of that wave and the beginning of this wave, and that will soften these guys up pretty dramatically. Yeah, and this fight is just about over. There's one more big thing coming up in a second, and I have Chaos Form for that. So pretty good use of resources right now. Oh, let's see. Let's Shockwave Punch him. That's a fucking terrible jumping animation. Okay, so at first glance, these guys kind of look like the I always forget the name, Golan or Godins that we were fighting before. They're like a variation on that enemy type. They're almost a straight palette swap with a few minor model differences. Chaos Form finishes him off pretty quickly though. It's bugging me that I'm only at 1,700 souls. Want a nice round 2,000. Oh, hey, soul chest. Let do it. No, it's probably like 250 or something. Yeah, about 250. A little more. Come on. No. Oh, I need 11 more. This is the wrong way. Yeah. Alright, let's go through the opening that just opened up after we finish that combat arena. And I don't think there's any reason for me to be disturbing those egg sacs. They're gonna burst just on proximity. Release a bunch of baby spiders. No reason to mess with them at all. And you can see where we are now. This has led us up to the boss door, which still has a bunch of seals floating around it. Those seals have the marks of big spiders on them. And since we have big blue spiders marked on our mini-map and our dungeon map, you get the idea. We have to kill all of those big spiders before we can actually unseal the boss gate. I wish War could do that combat roll anytime instead of the dash. Alright. That's a key we don't have. This floor is going to collapse. Good thing I knew that so I could get the soul chest. And now we're over 2,000. Let's see. You know what? I don't know why I'm messing with these spiders. I just kind of wanted the weapon experience, but it's not worth it. Alright, so there's a bunch of stuff we can do in this room, just not quite yet. First, we have to come in here, and you know what that means? Dungeon item, it's hookshot time. The abyssal chain, the hookshot, that happens to be the exact item that we need to start killing these big spiders and get around to unlocking the boss door. So you pull their big chitinous shell off, and it reveals that they're pretty much just helmissars. Just cute little helmissars. Yeah, cute's the word I would use. Definitely. Super adorable. Big flurry attack. There's a little bit of tracking on it that I keep fucking up. Like, he turns for half a second, like that! He turns for half a second, then he starts the attack up. I'm dodging it too early. Oh! Sheesh. Alright, and that's gonna remove one seal from the boss door. We have 3 more big spiders left to kill. And now that we have the dungeon item and 1/4 of the seals off the door, that's gonna do it for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.